Hello and welcome back everyone to the next video in my shelf by shelf series. In this series I'm going to go through my entire collection and play all the games one shelf at a time and give you my honest feedback about them, let you know if they're games we like, games we want to keep, why we want to keep them, why we like them, or if they're just games we don't like and we'll be getting rid of them. Today there will be 3 particular titles my group barely had any time with at all, so they were fairly new to us. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's get started. First up is Neuroshima Hex, A Year of Moloch. I picked this up at the UK Games Expo bring a buy last year. I was really excited for this when I saw that this was announced, this collector's box, this very fancy box. It had a really striking cover, it looked really cool, and I'd heard a lot about this game where you are essentially like a little command and conquer over a small grid. You're going to be fighting, sending your units after each other, attacking each other's bases in an effort to essentially survive and have the most health points for your base at the end of the game. I was really keen on this. I was really excited about it, and I was really glad I got a copy of it. But it's been sat on the shelf for most of the year. It's never been one that really pulled us to pull it out and try it until this video. And I can tell you now, since I have some issues with it. In the game you have different tokens. One is your HQ. Some are specific actions you do, whether you move troops around on the board, etc. The third type is your units, which are quite easy and simple to understand, and I like the units a lot. The fourth is your modules, which are like extra enhancements to give to your troops. Or I think of them like bases and stuff that give you benefits to your allies next to them. And I just find the modules look so boring on the table, I'll be honest with you. I like the look of the game, I like the style of it, I like the gameplay, the mechanics and how it works. I don't agree with the modules, and I just think a better way could have been done to implement them in the game. Maybe they could have actually just been buildings. Obviously the same benefits is fine, but just a different look to it would have been better in my opinion. I don't like how it looks, but the gameplay in this title is phenomenally great. Essentially, you are trying to destroy your enemy's bases, or at least do enough damage to them so you win, your base is the healthiest. And you can play various different strategies in this game. You can surround your base and hold out and protect it as best as possible. You can go directly for your enemy base and assault it and attack it. There's a different plethora of ways you can play, and the units, being ranged and melee units, positioning them on the board, on the hex grid, it's a really cool system, really cool game, and we find it really interesting. I like summoning more troops onto the board, putting them in the right place, deploying them, attacking. The iconography is not too bad, it's pretty easy to understand, and this game has a very minimal table presence as well, which is really, really cool. I like that. Very minimal footprint. You've got a small board with a small hex grid area to fight over. If there's 4 players, you add the outer ring into it, but even then it doesn't take up much room. This is an easy game to get out, but the reception from my group is mixed. I find so far that the people that win the game tend to like it more than those that don't. And from one session to another, their opinions kind of change. But at this moment in time, the group's consensus is this game is one we should play again. It's getting mixed reception every time we play it, and this is 2-3 times now we've got it to the table. Yeah, I feel like we need to play this again and again, but because of how close it is to the cusp of being removed from my collection, being a negative, people don't like it, I don't think this game's got longevity for my group. A good game though, gorgeous to look at, lovely art, lovely components, fantastic, especially the faction cards they're absolutely gorgeous the way that they're created and manufactured. This is a brilliant production, a brilliant game. It's sadly just one that I don't think is going to stay in my collection for much longer. I don't feel like the group is 100% invested in it. I don't feel like they love it. I feel like it's hanging on by a thread because the people that win it have a better experience when they play the game than those who lose. Next up is Sniper Elite, and both myself and some of the family are huge fans of the video game series, and when this was brought to the tabletop, I was really interested. And it sounded like a Spectre Ops format kind of game. Someone is sneaking around the board and they're being hunted. In this case, you have the Nazis who are trying to hunt down the sniper and eliminate him before he completes his objectives. Now, the sniper's movement is secret and hidden, and the Nazis are trying to find and hunt them down by searching and attacking spaces until they locate him. And it's a very intelligent game. There's a lot of thinking as to both sides. Whether you're playing as the baddies or the goodies, you need to think out your maneuvers. If you're hunting the sniper, you've got a lot more work on your plate, I feel. If you're the sniper, you just need to make very intelligent moves and intelligent decisions. You need to approach your objectives in a good way and try to avoid being spotted. Whereas those that are hunting the sniper have a lot more ground to cover and they need to work more methodically. But this game is really, really good. It's a good implementation of the Sniper Elite formula. Because at the end of the day, the sniper is an infiltrator. He's on his own. He's not operating with an army, so he needs to go covert and he needs to be stealthy. And it feels like that when you're playing the sniper. Whereas the opposition are just outnumber him on multiple counts, but they've got to track him down and find him and corner him. And so far, every session of this we've played, we've beaten the sniper, but we haven't played it a lot. It's practice for the most part. We need to get more competent at the roles. But I feel like if the sniper's played well, it's going to be a reasonably balanced game. And I'm pretty impressed with it. It's got gorgeous production, lovely components, the board is nice, pieces are nice, the cards are nice, the art is nice. Everything throughout this is produced to a very good standard. I like it. We have, as a group, we've decided that this is a game we want to keep around. We want to invest more time into. We want to play more. And I'm very happy with it. I like a lot of what's going on in the game. I like how your actions, you're limited in how many you can do. You need to be methodical when you're searching as the Nazis. You need to track down your opponent as quickly as possible. Use your commanders to help you in your search. Reduce entire areas off of the search zone. Very well thought out game. I like it a lot. The next game is a card game which is called Summoner Wars. Now, this is a hugely popular game that has been around for a long time. I got this first edition printing of the game secondhand at the UK Games Expo, and I picked it up because of how much I'd heard about the game. And I liked the blurb on the back of the box when I read into it. I do think there is a good game here. I like what Summoner Wars is doing. I like how it plays, where you have a grid on the board, you are deploying your forces to the board and you are maneuvering them around in position, attacking your enemy troops, all in the effort to eventually kill the enemy leader. If you eliminate the enemy leader, you win the game. Or if you destroy all of their walls, which is where they deploy their troops, you also win the game. But you can bring extras of those into the game, unlike the leader, which is the only one you get. I do find the wall thing really unthematic. I find it really boring. I don't know why, but just having a picture of a stone wall and you deploy your troops around it feels really dull and lackluster, in my opinion. I don't know why they went with that as the theming. I mean, personally, I would have said a fortress. Draw a picture of a fortress or a castle or some kind of fortification instead of just a wall. I mean, it makes sense. You use it as a defensive. If you hide behind it, archers and ranged units can't fire at you. They need a direct line of sight. But I just don't like that thematic little thing. It's a little nitpick, that one. That's not the main thing I judge the game on. But I do feel like it should have been something different. It just, visually, it doesn't look great. It's just a couple of walls on the table and some troops hiding behind it. The gameplay is really good, though. It's very strategic and tactical, positioning your troops, moving them into the right places, launching an attack with your army and pushing against the enemy at the right times is very strategic, and this is a brilliant game. I can see why it's well loved and well liked. Sadly, I don't feel like it's made waves with my group. Now, I know there's a second edition of this game, so maybe a lot of stuff's been improved in the second edition. I can't really quote on that. But the original printing hasn't really made much impact with me or my group. We think it's okay, it's a good game. But if you give us the option of playing this card game or pulling out something like Magic the Gathering or any number of other card games we have here, I'm sorry to say that Summoner Wars, it doesn't hit the top of the list. So in that instance, I don't feel like it should stay in my collection because it's just dead weight. It's just taking up space. and I could be looking for another game to fill its spot that has more impact with the group. I like Summoner Wars. I love all the different factions. I love there's some nice art. I don't love all the art. It's a bit drab and dark in a lot of the factions in this box, this master set box. There's a couple that you might even see pictured that aren't in this master set box. I think these were extra decks that were in the second-hand copy I got. So most of the ones that are in the box are a bit dark and dismal, and they don't have the best look to them. Again, I like the concept, I like the idea, I like the execution, I like what they've done with Summoner Wars as a game. But it's just not the game for my group, sadly. I won't be keeping it, it will be moving on. Nevertheless, we enjoyed our sessions of this title, and if it is one that you feel will meet your group, it's definitely one I think you should check out, especially the second edition. I don't know what's happened, but obviously there will be improvements made to it, so it's probably worth looking at if it's got your interest. Lastly is VWars, or Vampire Wars, and I got this game relatively cheap in a sale, either on a shop or at an event. I can't remember exactly, but the premise itself was what intrigued me into it, where essentially it's based on a show of some sort. I believe it's a Netflix show, but I've not watched it, where essentially vampires are rising across the globe, and slowly they're starting to take over different cities and locations across the planet. And all the governments are trying to keep them under wraps. They're trying to keep control. They're trying to keep the vampires from essentially overthrowing the local governments and taking control themselves and becoming a vampire state. And this game has some pandemic elements. Although there's troops popping up across the board, you're moving around and trying to contain them, but it does have a risk look to the table as well. It looks very cool when it's filled with units, and there's wars going across the whole globe. It's got a very cool look to it. I won't deny that. But there are a lot of problems with the game. Now, the game itself revolves around factions. Obviously, you have the vampire faction and the human faction. Some roles are divvied up at the start of the game, so some people are humans, most will be humans, and there will be a vampire player as well. And over the course of the game, obviously dependent on your allegiance, you want that faction to win. You want the vampires to gain more sympathy and start taking over cities. And you, if you're the humans, you want to eliminate the vampires and keep them under wraps. There's also, in addition to the two roles, you will either be a vampire or a human. You could also be infected by the virus, but not be fully turned into a vampire. That means that you're on the edge. You're still human. You are loyal to humanity. But if the vampire player catches you and turns you, you then become a vampire. So there's the possibility of turning players from one side to another. Not everybody can be, obviously only the infected. But I find that a really interesting mechanic where the players are at each other's throats. There's competitiveness. Someone is working for the enemy, and obviously the rest of you are working for humanity. And it's got a very interesting set of mechanics and systems in place in the game, where you are committing cards to essentially, when there's a riot in a location, to find out whether the humans manage to defeat the vampires or vice versa. And if they defeat them by more than a set amount, then there's going to be a total extermination of their opponents, which is going to affect morale and sympathy towards the other faction. So it's you want to balance the cards so you don't absolutely annihilate your enemy with what you contribute. And then there can be laws enacted across the globe. And yeah, this game has a gorgeous look to it. There's problems with the production though, I must be honest. The little vampire miniatures are horrendous. They're off to one side. The human miniatures are just okay. The board is, my board anyway, in the box I got, was warped. It's not flat, so it doesn't sit flat unless it's fully covered in components. I like the art in the game. The rest of the cards are pretty drab and boring, but there's not much really that needs to be on them. And your players are interesting. They look nice and they have a unique ability. But my group was not blown away by this game. We played it, we enjoyed it. The first time we wanted to play it again with a bigger group, and we played with 4 players last time. And the experience was enjoyable, memorable, and sadly not one we'd want to come back to. Not because it's a terrible game, it's just an average game, an okay game. It's got a great look to it, like I said, when you've got units all across the globe fighting for supremacy, and you're manipulating it in a pandemic way, running along, fighting and eliminating your opposition, whether that be the humans or the vampires. And there's a lot of thought and strategy about when and where to play your cards. But it's nothing amazing. If I had the choice to play this game or play Risk, I would play Risk. Any number of other area control games, this game wouldn't manage to beat them. So in that respect, VWars should really leave the collection. Not because it's a terrible game, it's just an okay game, but it's not one that holds up to everything else I have, and it's certainly not going to hit the table again over the competition I have in my games room. So sadly, this is another game that I will sell. So that brings it to the end. We've got 4 games that we've gone over today. We have Sniper Elite, which my group really likes. It's really resonated. It's got the Sniper Elite theme. It's one that will stay in my collection. Very happy with that. We're going to be playing that more and more. We have Neuroshima Hex, which we enjoyed. It has a mixed reception. Like I said, I don't think this game's got longevity. I don't think it's going to stay in my collection forever. I feel like as soon as everybody doesn't have a brilliant game when they play it, that it's going to be a sell. And then the other 2 games, VWars and Summoner Wars, they just don't measure up for my group. They don't meet my group's expectations. We didn't enjoy them as much as other games, so there's no point them remaining any longer. So I will remove these from my collection. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. There'll be another one soon when we finish the next shelf as I work my way through my collection and give you honest feedback on games, not just the popular ones. These are the games that are in my collection, whether I bought them in sales, whether I've owned them for years, or whether they're the ones I know we love. But I'll give you quick fire reviews as we go through our collection. Please leave comments below. Let me know, what do you think of these games? Do you love any of these games? Do you hate these games? What are your thoughts on them? Let me know if you're enjoying this little series. Please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, hit the notifications, and I'll see you all next time.